Hello, I'm Jan Sherwiński and you're watching Break the Fake. They make them, we break them, and tell you all you need to know. Now, we start on a very serious tone. Every year, on the 4th Saturday of November, Ukraine commemorates the victims of the Holodomor of 1932-1933 and other artificial famines in its history. Yes, in just the 20th century, Ukraine suffered through three mass famines: 1921-1923, 1932-1933, and 1946-1947. Among those, the one in the 1930s was the deadliest, having been engineered by the Soviet government with the aim of suppressing the Ukrainian national liberation movement and physically destroying part of the Ukrainian peasantry. For a long time, the leadership of the Soviet Union spared no effort to conceal the fact that Ukrainians died from what was artificial starvation. The Stalinist regime went so far as to declare that there had been no famine in Ukraine and refused the assistance offered by numerous non-governmental organizations, in particular the Ukrainian diaspora and the International Red Cross. In the spring of 1933, hunger-driven mortality in Ukraine was reaching catastrophic proportions. The Holodomor reached its peak that June, with 28,000 people dying every day, nearly 1,200 every hour, and 20 every minute. It was only after Ukraine declared its independence that an investigation into the scale of the Holodomor was launched to examine the claim that millions perished in Ukraine and the Kuban region as a result of the famine. According to estimates of the International Association of Holodomor Genocide Researchers, between 1932 and 1933, the famine claimed 10.5 million Ukrainian lives. Now, as of June 2023, 32 countries of the world have officially recognized the Holodomor as a Russian genocide of the Ukrainian people. But what about Russians themselves? What do they think about the Holodomor? Well, Daniel Orain from the YouTube channel 1420, a Russian himself, went out onto the streets of Moscow to ask the locals what they think about the Holodomor in Ukraine. Let's find out.
Слышали что-то про Голодомор в Советском Союзе? Вот.
30-е годы.
Да. Слышали, да, про это?
Да.
Вот что знаете про это событие?
Вы меня провоцируете или
Нет, почему? Просто опрос делаем.
У меня запрос. Вы провокационные начинаете вопросы.
Почему? Нет, просто вот ваши отношения.
Время было такое, необходимые меры такие.
Ну а как думаете, он вообще был в курсе, что такое происходит?
Конечно, был.
А почему ничего не предпринял?
А что он мог принять? Во всей стране было так плохо, не только на Украине.
Голодомор?
Да.
Ну, конечно, слушай.
Как относитесь к этому?
Так меня тогда не было, что я могу сказать.
Ну, понятно. Я больше как относитесь к Сталину, вот, к его действиям в целом политике?
Одобряю.
А почему?
Ну, порядок был.
А в чем вот проявлялся порядок, на ваш взгляд?
Дисциплина была, люди работали. Соблюдали социальные гарантии.
Голодомор?
Да.
Ну, я могу сказать, что это ерунда какая-то. Голодомор был в России. Там сейчас очень говорят, что это Украина. На Украине был Голодомор. А Голодомор-то был он во всей России. Вот все. Поэтому это ерунда все.
А вот
украинцы это нагнетают все.
Нагнетают, да?
Конечно, нагнетают. Это однозначно.
You've got to admit, some of the answers given were quite horrifying. Russia generally prefers not to discuss the Holodomor and considers even a mention of this Stalinist policy of extermination a hostile attack. In modern Russia, there is now a tendency to not leave your own people behind without giving much attention to the fact that the people in question, those that they don't want to abandon, are often violent murderers on the battlefield. But hey, staying silent about the crimes of communism seems par for course for modern Russia, while murderers run free because they're actually following Putin's orders in Ukraine. Now, Tajik Russian journalist Mumin Shakirov recently interviewed Ukrainian journalist Volodymyr Zolkin, whom you may know as the reporter who has been repeatedly talking to Russian POWs. During the conversation, Shakirov revealed that he's worried for Russian soldiers returning home from Ukrainian captivity. Well, and why is that so? Because he fears they might be killed by their fellow Russians. Let's take a look at the reply of the Ukrainian journalist.
Вагнеровцу, беседовавшему на камеру с известным украинским блогером Раминой, предположительно разбили голову кувалдой. Учитываете ли вы эти риски, когда разговариваете с военнопленными?
Учитываю ли я риски, что их там могут задвухсотить по возвращению?
Конечно, да.
Нет. А почему я должен учитывать? Приведите мне один аргумент, почему я должен их учитывать.
Когда показали эти кадры, как молотком разбивают голову, мы не знаем, это постановочно или не постановочно, но, по крайней мере, эта сцена вызвала ужас у многих. Ну, во всем мире, наверное.
Разбитая голова одного человека или уничтоженные целые кварталы целых жилых городов. Представьте, обернитесь вокруг себя, представьте свой жилой квартал и посмотрите, и представьте, что его больше нет. Нет. И нет женщин, нет детей, нет мужей, стариков, никого там больше нет. Понимаете? Всех убили. А потом те, которые убили, сидят у вас на интервью, вы должны взвешивать какие-то риски, убьют его там в России или не убьют. Вы серьезно?
In an interview with Bloomberg, the Lithuanian foreign minister said that the West may force Ukraine to negotiate with Russia. Vytautas Landsbergis said that insufficient missile and ammunition deliveries, as well as the lengthy decision processes in the EU, might leave Ukraine in a situation where it will have no choice but to sit down and talk peace with Russia. However we slice this, the situation is very disappointing. US aid is blocked by Republicans in Congress, and the European Union is struggling to deliver Kiev with enough ammunition. This does not look reassuring for the West, especially given how the hermit kingdom of North Korea, isolated and backward, is capable of sustaining Russia's military potential, while the economic powerhouse that is the EU is found wanting. If military assistance to Ukraine is kept down to a trickle, Europe will have more unnecessary deaths of Ukrainians on its conscience, and the imperial ambitions of Russia, North Korea and Iran to reckon with. What will the EU officials and US congressmen tell their people then? Meanwhile, Russia keeps being Russia. Unable to dominate Ukraine on the battlefield, the Kremlin is resorting to intrigue and intimidation. What was it this time then? Well, Russian experts seem to be suggesting a strike targeting power stations in Ukraine to provoke riots and unrest nationwide. Something in the vein of a pro-Russian Maidan.
И если Майдан начнется, то он начнется не из-за каких-то хитрых там поползновений российских спецслужб, как они это дело пытаются обозначить, а скорее всего, что в предстоящую зиму, но это пока только все под вопросом, но тем не менее есть существенный риск. Вот что значит удары по объектам критической инфраструктуры? Если исчезает электричество, что за этим исчезает? За этим пропадает вода, затем тепло, останавливается канализация. И не надо даже мороза минус 30, достаточно даже и минус 8-10, чтобы максимально осложнить жизнь населения, гражданского населения Украины.
Now look, there is no way that more Russian crimes will sway the Ukrainian public's view of the war. 10 years ago, the Ukrainians took to the streets in protest against their government, not because they were cold or they wanted to make more money. They protested for reasons no Russian will ever understand, at least under Putin. They gathered at the Maidan, and many died there because they were ready to die for freedom. But that's not something any Kremlin clown is capable of conceiving. Now, as you're probably aware, our mission to debunk Russian propaganda isn't exactly a walk in the park. It's probably safe to say that we've all earned a spot on Russia's list for the gulags if we ever set foot in Putin land. Lately, some of you have noticed that Benjamin Lee, our Break the Fake host, has been conspicuously absent. This has unleashed a wave of wild speculation. Is it possible that Benjamin's crusade against Russia's information warfare has taken an unexpected turn? Has he decided to take a break? Or could he have silently drifted away from TVP World? There is even gossip about a classic KGB-style hit, with Benjamin sipping on a very special kind of tea, courtesy of Putin's cronies. We're on the case to find out, hoping our own tea stays just plain tea. So, Ben, what's the tea, if you excuse the pun?
Right. It is just tea, as you can see. I am alive and well, so welcome to Break the Fake on TVP World. Benjamin Lee here, and if you can give me a poke, you should make sure I'm
Absolutely.
not a hologram, and
Yep.
my blinking is not a signal for help at all. But anyways, thank you guys so much for all the comments I have been reading and this kind of welcome, warm support for Break the Fake here. But I do promise you guys that you are in very, very capable hands of Jonas Rybinski right here. So meanwhile, while I'm still working on making my way back to the big screen, please stay tuned on TVP World for more Break the Fake.
Very much so. Our team remains unbreakable. And you can rest easy, our dear viewers. Our team remains strong, united, and as committed as ever to break the fake. So stay tuned for more truth-telling, fact-checking, and myth-busting.